Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. It's going to be a duel have Ranch, and alongside we have Iris versus Saint. This is going to be part of the NAT MSL Group C. Or Group C? Yeah, Group C. We have Iris, aka Berserker, going up against Saint, and Saint is going to be starting in the bottom right-hand corner, I believe, in purple. At the 2 o'clock position, we have Iris as the orange Terran, and he had a really good run last time. He had a really good shot at things, and looked like he might have was just playing at the level where he could have taken everything out, and just fell flat in the round of 4. And one wonders, can he take that emotional poundage time and time again? I think him and Huashin are the two guys that it's just it's hard to be an Iris fan, it's hard to be a Huashin fan. I feel like there's kind of some camaraderie there between those two fan groups, or maybe even some overlap there. Sorry, starting as the blue Zerg, bottom right-hand corner. This is going to be an ultimatum, which is an interesting map. I feel like Zerg kind of has to go drop on this map automatically just to take those island expansions to 6 and 3 o'clock. And beyond that, if you're not taking your island expansions, you're just overextending yourself, really, to try to take another expansion on the map. And as a result, I think Terran can get a leg up, particularly if they go drop early, to just try to pressure the Zerg player. And it can be, I just feel like Terran just has a leg up as a result of that, so because you kind of know what to expect. And Hydralisks, especially in the mid game, which I feel like is kind of the complementary thing towards drop, they're just not very mobile, so it can be difficult to kind of cover everything. We'll see what Iris does, though. He's known for being aggressive. He's known for not really sitting back in his base and macroing up. But I think that'd be his best shot, actually. Get to the late game, use your fully upgraded medic marines to kind of wander everywhere. Because that's the thing, once you get to, especially if you see a Zerg going ultra ling, is there's so much room on this map to kind of back out of swarms and to kind of escape out of areas, unless the Zerg's creating targets of opportunity and attacking expansion someplace, at which point you're running into kind of a closed choke. Those medic marine forces are nigh invincible as long as they're well microed out in the middle of the field. So anyway, I feel like if Zerg are going to win this match, they got to really do it into either the late mid game with some sort of kind of clever tech sort of thing, or they need to do it in the early game by doing something kind of crazy, either I would say drops or just expanding like crazy and kind of staying back and hoping for the best, things like that. Anyway, 12 hatch bottom right hand corner from Saint. Looks like Iris has he's not going to be able to stop that scout from coming into his base, but at this stage he's going for a run Rax build rather than, of course, gas.
Probably going for just a 1 Rax expansion, get that economy up. Seeing a lot of Terrans go for that on this map. Just seems like the standard safe thing to do, especially when you're going to spot that your opponent Zerg is going for 12 hatch. You can pretty safe economically get that one ahead, get that second gas up fairly quickly, get those medic marines up fairly quickly, and just put on some early pressure. And I really like this map overall. It's pretty huge, kind of reminds me of a lot of the older maps played year to 2 years ago. It is indeed going to be that command center quickly, and Terrans on this map really just can sit on those 2 bases for all, then go out there and they, of course, can utilizing some dropships or even floating a base, a little bit more risky, but they could do that to take up one of the island expansions. But honestly, I feel they can just go out there, get that mineral only close to your natural expansion, and hold that. And it's a bit of an open position, a bit risky, but still I think they can take that and hold that and still feel pretty safe, and don't really need to take the 3rd gas until a little bit later in the game. Iris, just going to run inside with the SCV, get the full-on scout all over the place, while we're going to see Saint putting down his production hatchery inside of his main. So he's going to be a 2-base, 3-hatch Muta build, most likely coming in for him. So we're just going to see how well he manages to manage with his Mutas. Whether he's going to get enough economic damage done. It's just going to all come down to how Iris sets up the defenses and whether he spots this coming in.
Looks like that SCV scout is being ushered out, but I think he saw basically everything he wanted to see. He's getting that refinery now. Actually looping back now. I guess the only other feature of this map is that ramp is extremely wide, but in order to make it kind of decrease in size, or I should say increase in size, to provide some troop mobility, you need to open it up, which is kind of odd when you think about it. This doesn't seem like it's a big macro map, because again, this map specifically reminds me of Zodiac, which was played, I think, about a year and a half ago. Actually, Hogil, if you go back and look at some of Hogil's games on Zodiac, I think he had some really interesting play overall, and that kind of opened up my eyes. And it looks like we are going to see some sort of tech build right off the bat, because that's a very quick second gas. It's possible we'll see a swing back to an evolution chamber to play infantry, but probably going to see some Mutalist dedication here into the mid game, definitely, and probably a little bit heavy in that regard as well. That SCV swinging around, going to be able to see everything, though, for Iris, so a nice big boon, nice benefit in that regard. But yeah, again, we'll see what Iris is up to, what he can accomplish here. I'm also kind of curious if we're going to see, just kind of as a result of the structure of this map, Zerg can't take additional gas, really, is what I kind of feel. It's so difficult to get additional gas and get it in a timely fashion. That's kind of how I feel, at least into the mid-game. But yeah, we'll see how it works out. Looks like we've already got that engineering being planted here from Iris. Iris just pumping out a couple troops, also opening up his front door in the meantime. Finally loses that SCV scout to provide a little bit more troop mobility here in the late game. And there's that Spire just a little bit along the way. So we're probably going to see pretty heavy Muta combination here early from Saint.
Yeah, Firebat's also being added in for Iris, so he's going to be ready just in case those Zergs are going to try to put on some pressure. And Irish actually going to push out a little bit, but while on the opposite side, Saint's actually going to put down second colonies, so he's going to be able to defend this. At the very least, I think he saw that push coming, so at the very least he's going to be forced to put down a couple of second colonies to defend against the push that might not be coming on the opposite side. Also actually taking down a side disruptor with a couple of Zerglings. I feel macro-wise, Zerg really have to go ahead all over the other map. Just go, if like in this position, Shane would have to go to the lower left-hand position, take up the natural expansion there, and then eventually take up the main. And he would be able to defend those two bases just off his natural expansion fairly safely. But that wouldn't really happen until in the late game. In the mid game, that position would be very risky. Terran would be able to go push in there, but if that would go into the mid game, actually could be fairly successful. Iris actually just staying outside the base forces defenses to come up. Mutalisks are going to be on the way. There is a fourth sunken colony going to come up, creep colony on the way. Even more reinforcement coming in for Iris, producing, also adding in a factory, so he's going to start to take up off those two bases. And also adding in his second refinery, and actually going to go for the push here. 3 second colonies, fourth on the way, is going to continue attacking his Firebats, leading the charge there, trying to pick off those sunken colonies. We're going to see Firebats go down. One of the sunken colonies go down. Drone can pit off the line. Iris is actually going to run up the ramp. Only 3 Marines, 1 single Firebat, running straight headlong into a bunch of Mutalisks, and I think 1 single drone got picked off there as the medics come in and far too late to try to heal their comrades. Wow, just running in straight long into death, and I was going to be forced to put down turrets all over the frickin' place. All over the place. Bunker at the natural expansion. Almost no Marines on the ground for him yet, so these Mutals are going to be heavily effective from Saint.
Well, it looks like Saint's going to be in a great position where he can just start taking expansions all over the map. He's got an evolution chamber being built there, so it looks like he's going to switch back into infantry in not too long. He's going to get some of that. But he's with those Mutalisks he's got out in the field, all Iris can do is sit back and defend, and I almost feel like he's over-dedicated on his turrets. Granted, he was kind of panicking a little bit there. He was like, oh, crap, that attack just fell right flat on his face. It looked like what he was going to do is try to take out everything, maybe even get a siege tank and kind of wander it up. We're seeing a hive tech. Wow, very early hive tech. So it looks like he's just going to, and it looks like we're seeing a slow drop here to the 6 and to the 3 o'clock to try to take 2 additional quick gas. I don't think he's worried about minerals there at all. So he's going to play a very early gas-heavy game. Wow, and he's going to have a pretty heavy upgrade, and this is going to really pay off for him. I don't think Iris is in a position to respond for quite some time to those 2 bases, and I think by the time Iris does, in fact, have something to deal with that, it's not going to make a difference. He's going to have to basically absorb all the attacks that Saint's going to be throwing at his front door between Defilers. The Defilers are going to be out there very, very quickly, and whatever else he's throwing at them. I think actually just a Defiler lane combination will be enough to push that back. Let's see if he decides to go Lurkerling instead. I worry a little bit about Lurkerling just because it's the mobility is a little bit lacking. But even with this, he actually could go Greater Spire. He's got a lot of Mutalisks out there, and he doesn't need to dedicate them. He knows that Iris just has to sit back and deal with it. And with all that gas, he really could just produce a ton of Guardians, have the Swarm to defend his main base in the meantime, and he could just roll over Iris right at his main. And he'd basically kind of be in a 2-pronged situation where he's not going to have the troops really dedicated to the main, and additionally the Guardians just kind of pound away from another direction.
Church's not even really protecting his mains either. Saint at this point has Zerglings all over the place, just spotting out just in case Irish tries to take a sneaky third. He's actually going to add in his second starport and going to start producing. He's going to start producing his science vessels. On the opposite side, we're going to see 2 Defiler Mans alongside a Greater Spire. So he's going to want to get those Defiler upgrades out there pretty freaking quickly. And I honestly feel this entire build order from Saint is actually ingenious in its way. He had that slow drop ready right from the start. He knew he was going to take that 6 o'clock and 3 o'clock just as soon as he had the Mutals pressure out. Maybe he didn't think he was going to do it this quickly, but then he adapted. Is running some of these Mutals right into a heavy lot of turret fires. So he's going to be forced back out. But I honestly think he just adapted real quickly. He saw that Iris lost a lot of forces on that attack, who's actually now pushing out, but then just reacted by taking those 2 bases. Actually going to sunken up his natural expansion very heavily, adding in 2 sunken colonies on the high ground as his defiler mounds are up. They're going to be upgrading very heavily as he also just gets his economy going on the 6 and 3. But Iris is going to try to push. They does have 2 tanks with siege. They're going to siege him and start attacking these sunken colonies. Medic Marines are not going to be able to push in. Sunken colonies on those high grounds actually going to be able to damage some of his Marines. We're going to take, I think already took 1 or 2 of them out. Medic's also going to get damaged. Mulas fly and try to just pick off. If they can get at those tanks, of course, that'll be it. And that push is going to completely fail. Also some Scourge in the area just ready to react to any sort of science vessels come in to help support against those Mutalisks. If Iris managed to get an irradiate off those Mutalisks, a good irradiate that doesn't really give Saint enough time to react, he is going to be in business, but there are those Guardians coming in. Irradiate's going to be, of course, extremely important against those. It's all going to come down to what he manages to do. Iris actually going to fly says right into a bunch of Scourge, and boom! And goodbye Essentials, goodbye support, goodbye irradiate against Guardians. So Iris just, it seems that every little aggressive thing he tries to do, he ends up somehow just getting himself behind. Now those Guardians are going to be able to shell him from range, and Iris is going to be forced back.
Yeah, I really like this build as well, because even, let's pretend that Iris did in fact go dropships. He still had those 9 Mutalisks that are wandering out in the field. The closest target would have been that 3 o'clock base where the Mutalisks were in the area to harass as well. So I really like, and now he's already going to have Nidus Canals also to get to the some mobility here at that 3. Also, you can see the Scourge patrolling just in case science vessels were headed that direction now. So Iris is now running, what, 2 base versus 5. There's dropships trying to press in, but the Nidus Canal is already up and the Guardians are already on the way. So I don't think this is actually going to be... Oh, actually, never mind. The Nidus Canal was produced from the opposite end. The Guardians might be a little bit late. Okay, things are going to flood through, though. And this is the other thing, is it takes 2 dropships worth of units with all those Guardians out in the field, and as well as those attack forces that are able to engage. And just barely manages to get the Sunken Colony. But, yeah, I really like this build. I really like this build from Saint. It's very fluid. It looks like it's going to be very effective for Zerg players. And honestly, yeah, I think the best bet is exactly what Iris did, which is try to get some early siege tank busts going on. So it fortunately didn't look like it was going to pay off. 2 more dropships going. I got to assume these are headed towards the 6 o'clock location, but I think they were already spotted out, and there's already a Sunken Colony there, as well as Zerglings prepared to kind of support this. Unfortunately, going to lose one of the dropships, which is absolutely killer. No Defiler to support, so it looks like these siege tanks might be able to take that out. And wow, Saint needs to get on top of it, otherwise he's going to lose this expansion. I expect, lost the Nidus Canal, lost this expansion. Just a couple mules going to be able to take out that siege tank, but probably going to end up losing a lot more drones in the meantime, and it's going to take a really long time to get he's got to build basically more Mulisks if he's going to defend there, or just rely on the larvae that he's producing. But looks like Saint able to wipe out the Medic Marines that were on the ground while Iris was distracted, and Iris going to be able to stop that gas. Oh, that's clever. More from the Guardians. Yeah, but at the same time, honestly, I don't know what Iris can do, even at 4 base Zerg against this. He's going to be, there's the Ultralisk Cavern. There was so much gas pumping in, even off the 4 base, and just relying on the Guardians for defense. You can just keep producing the Zerglings, and just a Defiler, 1 Defiler or 2, and just keep playing defense play, where Iris has to keep investing gas. I think Iris's best bet is to do what he's doing right now. Maybe even take 2 expansions really fast in the dark, and just hope that right now, while Saint's playing defensively, he can't turn around. He doesn't have a very mobile army. Just pray that his immobility will not be that'll allow Iris to get just an overwhelming economy, and just press from there.
Iris, meanwhile, he's going to go for an attack at this 3 o'clock. There are Zerglings and a Defiler already consumed, already ready to go. Actually, get that Dark Swarm up. Marines are going to die. Science is going to come into the area, try to irradiate that Defiler. Are going to manage that. Even going to go for an Eraser here, try to pick off as many of these drones as he possibly can. Going to get several of them killed there, all bunched up together, just waiting to die. But these Zerglings, meanwhile, are going to be able to clean up this entire ground force. And some Scourge are going to come into the area. Going to pick up some Science. Oh, actually get shot down. One Science does go down. The Eraser. Ooh. Meanwhile, play goes off on the Medic Marines, and the Defiler, meanwhile, is going to lose its life to those, just as it does that. Are still going to be able to push in that. Stop mining at the 3 o'clock. Not really going to be able to push in very close with that 1 second colony there. Of course, going to lose his Marines as soon as they come close. Nidus Canal still going to bring in some Zerglings. Actually, Saint there just moving them piecemeal, not too small. Getting another plague off, so he's going to be able to hold this off eventually. Doesn't have speed on his Zerglings. That's very interesting. He's going to be able to pick off just with the Guardians fairly easily, but not having speed on the Zerglings actually kind of strange there. Not really going to help him out. Ultralisk Cavern already on the way, so he's going to get Ultras out there. Going to get some of his Guardians irradiated. That's exactly what you don't want to do, getting some of his Scourge picked up. Meanwhile, just have to run those Guardians away from his group so that they don't kill all the rest of them. Honestly feel that he shouldn't really get any more of those Guardians out in the air, because with a large Science Whistle in the air, they're fairly vulnerable. Still going to be able to help defend from a distance, but as soon as Science Whistle fly in, if he doesn't manage to pick us off, they're just going to be able to irradiate all those Guardians. Number irradiating more Defilers, so he's just ready, getting himself more ready to push in, but a beautiful plague on all the Science Whistles, a bunch of those ground forces. So Saint just being forced to play it a bit defensively here, not really going to be able to go around and do some sort of damage, while Iris actually going to pick off the lower left-hand position, apparently. Or is that the upper left-hand? Might have missed it a little bit. Iris, though, reacting beautifully, meanwhile losing Science Vessels to discourage just those irradiated Science Vessels. Ultralisks and Zerglings and Guardians, just almost everything on the opposite side for Sandy. He's going to be able to engage some of those Marines, and finally going to be able to clean up this 3 o'clock, I feel.
Yeah, this is actually critical, as you'll notice at this 3 o'clock. Yeah, Iris is going in and he's doing some damage, but critically he has not stopped the gas. The gas has still flowed. It's like the spice, the key to the universe here. The 3 o'clock expansion has not stopped mining gas at all, and that 6 o'clock has just been mining gas this entire time. Those Ultralisks are going to be out in a short period of time here, and Iris, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to stop here. I almost feel like Saint's got to have enough gas in the bank right here to continue this attack. And yeah, there's the Ultralisk. He's just waiting for the armor upgrade, which just kicked in. Iris, I think, is really doomed, especially why right now he's expending a lot of his attack forces just trying to barrel into this 3 o'clock and not accomplishing anything. Absolutely nothing. Now I don't think he has enough Science Vessels to stop the Ultralisks, and we're going to see Saint just kind of roll him over from this stage of the game, I expect.
Going in for the mineral-only Ultras and Zerglings first. They're going to be able to get a lot accomplished. There are some Dark Swarms coming in to support as well. Get 3 Science Vessels there in the air. They are going to at least start irradiating stuff, but Guardians moving in as well to start picking off the SCVs. Going to force a lift. Saint actually looking a little bit nervous as he tries to move in here. Some Ultras going to move in piecemeal, just going to be easy fire. Getting some of his one of his Ultras irradiated, but he's just going to be able to run that in right away. Try to pick off, using that irradiated just to pick off SCVs. Also going to expand yet again. Pick off yet another gas, adding in production hatcheries at this point. He's going to be able to produce at such a massive rate at this point. Has Nidus Canals all over the place, several Nidus Canals at some of his bases. Just going to move out yet again, has reproduced his entire, almost large grouping here. Going to go for a pincer attack. Some Zerglings from the north side, Ultras from the south. Losing all of his Zerglings, but I think he's still going to be able to be very successful just using those just heavy tanking Ultra. Science are coming in to irradiate, but that might actually be detrimental at this point. Those irradiates are actually going to help those Ultras to pick off the rest of those Marines as they run in towards the natural expansion. At this point, Iris really has lost his mineral only, and he can't really defend his natural expansion. He doesn't have enough forces on the ground. No tanks to help against those Dark Swarms that are coming in. Still some Guardians on the force, even going inside of his main and start picking off near his unit productions. So at this point, I feel it's just time until Iris finally starts losing complete grip of this game.
One thing is it looks like I think Saint's getting a little impatient here. He's throwing up these attacks. It takes a long time to wait for those Defilers, but I think it's still beneficial to establish a little bit of ground, hold back instead of dedicating all the Ultralisks and Lings in. Just sit back, get a Defiler up there so you can just continue and press the rest of it in. Looks like he did manage to get a Defiler this time, but those last 2 attacks, yeah, it felt like he was just being a little bit too greedy. Oh, 2 more Science Vessels getting taken out. And yeah, it looks like it's just going to be, and plague across that bunker and everything else out in the field. Looks like Iris did manage to sneak an expansion to that mineral only on the interior, interior 9 o'clock. But yeah, he's just praying that doesn't get spotted. He can't really defend it at all. And let's pretend he does manage to hold it. He's still running up against a superior economy even with that. I'm actually surprised we're not seeing an even larger economy from Saint, and it looks like it's just because he hasn't had time to saturate that bottom left-hand base with the Nidus Canals and with some drone production. Iris somehow getting an army out in the field, but it looks like it's going to get picked off fairly quickly, even with the 2 Ultralisks and the Zerglings, and that's the upgrade's really working against him here. And Zerglings, crackling upgrade, able to very quickly run in, take out that command center. Yeah, that's going to die, and it looks like he's going to be able to take out a lot more on top of it. So yeah, nothing going right for Iris here, and it looks like the Zergling Flood now making it all the way into the natural expansion might be able to just take down that bunker, and with the crackling upgrade might be able to take out everything up there too.
Oh man, just Saint at this point just sending all of his forces in, producing, just sending him and do some attack. Iris is going to try to do a counterattack a low left-hand position, but honestly feel he's just diverting his forces away from what's important. Let's try to keep alive what he has right now. He's not going to be able to get any sort of damage, and loses almost everything but 3 Marines and a medic. And Scourge not going to pick off almost all of these sciences. Just a few minutes to stay alive. And Ultra is now has already penetrated the base. It's actually plagued, so it's not going to stay alive for long. But I'm wondering, just one step away from getting a Dark Swarm over those. Yeah, and that doesn't matter what I was going to say because it's GG. And beautiful play there by Saint, I got to say.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Saint just played this really. I really like that build. Specifically, I think it's really intelligent. I think the only thing Iris could have done differently, maybe, is right when Saint was kind of in his bunker mode, is really take some risky expansions out in the field. I don't know how he would have known to do that, though. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to move on to the winners match. Thanks for listening.